Well, I am Clara Stryker, and I am with Inhailer Radio for Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 3 to 7 p.m. And today I have a special guest. I have Dolly Valentine with me. I've been listening, to your album for a while, especially when it came out. But I was actually, while I was making chili, because I was just getting in the mood before, and I was like, oh, this is so good. Especially like you said, for like tonight, it just like was perfect because it's like chilly. The wind was blowing. I was like, oh, this is a perfect little album to jam out to.
Thanks. Yeah, I love that it's being played and that everybody's listening to it in Cincinnati. It makes me so happy. But
Yeah.
I feel like it does fit all the seasons, which I'm excited about. I was because it came out in the summer, so I was like, I hope it fits all the seasons. But I feel like
I think it definitely does. I love how it I feel like it does tell a story, like from the very beginning to the end. And so I guess I will go to my first question. How was the process and what went into, making your debut record?
well, I guess writing it actually it's almost like the way the album was written was I was playing out the story in my own life. From kind of asking like, where do I want to go? Because Michigan 1997 was my first single.
Yes.
So kind of starting it with like, what should I do in a sense? And then even the album title, How to Be Good, for me, it's like more a question of like, how do I exist? What's the way that I want to exist or I want to create? And so I think then I was on the road basically the whole time writing the album and traveling.
Oh, wow.
So, and just going from place to place, and it was just, I was like living in and out of my van or staying at different places. It was really fun. I finished the album March 7th, so I was lucky that I finished it right kind of in that timing. But
yeah,
the album, I feel like there's the album that I know from my personal experience, and then the one that kind of follows the character. That's like the album is sort of about this like searching and being on the road or just, in your mind or physically, and sort of like searching for your own inner peace, searching for your own message and authenticity. Yeah. So the album like really embodies that, I feel.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, like, especially now that you explained it too, just listening to it, because it does that even go through, like you said, the longing, even if it's just a longing for a love, a lost love, you can feel that. And then also, but the very last song, like how you're saying, these are my lips and I'm allowed to say whatever I want into it. So I could definitely see that.
Yeah. And with that comes a sense of like responsibility, I guess, this feeling of like, how do I say what's truthful for me, even though that truth is going to change over time as I learn and grow. And I gave myself a lot of time writing these so that I could kind of test out the ideas in a way.
Yeah.
And feel them out over time and say, like, does this still ring true a month after I wrote it? And so I was happy that I did it in that way.
Yeah. With quarantine right now, so you said you're in Cape Cod, and I know I even saw it on Instagram. You have a farm that you've been like working on, and I know you recorded. Are you doing most of your videos in there, or did you do just a couple?
We just did a couple, and then I'm doing some more now, actually.
Are you?
There are a lot of variables because Cape Cod, especially in the fall, is very it's like I think it's one of the foggiest places in the United States.
Oh, wow.
The mist will roll in and cover the sun, and it's like, okay, can't finish it today. But yeah, we've been doing stuff out in the garden. It's really nice. That'll end soon because it's starting to get wintry. But
definitely,
the whole thing of growing food has been really cool because I've never really, I've done it a little bit, but it's been a nice grounding thing through all of this.
What else have you picked up while like being home, because like definitely people are kind of finding new hobbies. So other than like farming, what else have you kind of like picked up on that you never really tried before or wanted to try before?
I've been doing, I feel like just a lot more kind of soul searching. Like I've been doing tons of meditation and I feel like learning about just like thoughts. Like I love, I'm trying to think of the right word to call it, but like psychology and the mind. And I've been studying all sorts of stuff like that, the subconscious. And
yes.
Cool. And then I've like learned a lot about feng shui and like house stuff. So that's a fun thing of like, just, but I also, actually I've done so many puzzles, which is very inconsequential thing. I love puzzles. I feel like I like them because there's like you just get to kind of tune out and just put the pieces together.
Oh, yes. It's like
So,
how I feel about like, like the coloring books when all that became like a big,
totally.
yeah, it's like you
Do
just kind of
those?
feel like you can just go away. Oh, yes.
Yes. Have you been doing those?
Yeah, I haven't actually in quarantine. Lately I've been, so my fiance and he proposed to me like end of February. So it's kind of been planning, like wedding planning. I've been spending a lot of that time. We're getting married next February. So it's just like trying to get all that stuff booked. So that's mostly been a lot of my quarantine
It's
time
kind of nice
lately.
that you've had all that time to focus
Yeah,
on it,
it kind of worked out in a way.
because it's so
Definitely.
creative and you can look at so many things. So
Yes,
I
yes.
think,
Then
yeah,
that's been nice.
it's just having a little bit of space has definitely been nice. And I want to be making plans, but I can't really.
Yes.
So it's kind of nice to just dig into the more kind of grounding things. But yeah, the garden's been a huge one.
Oh, that's awesome. What have you been growing, may I ask? Or what's been
Um,
your bigger thing that you've been loving that's been like,
it's shifted through the seasons. So
yeah.
we have tons of greens and like kale and Swiss chard and all that, which is a
Oh,
nice
nice.
staple. But the cucumbers were a star this summer, and there was funky varieties of them. So
Oh, wow.
not just like funky varieties. Um, Edible flowers. I've been growing edible flowers,
Oh,
fun in salads and stuff like that.
yeah.
So there's so many vegetables that don't show up in the grocery store because
Yes.
they're hard to transport or or they're just not popularized. So
Yeah.
I'm doing weird varieties of things. I
Oh,
have
that's awesome.
some black carrots growing right now, so I'm curious how those will be.
That is something I don't think I've ever heard
I
of. So,
know.
like,
I
no,
saw
that's
it. I was
interesting.
like, whoa, crazy. I'm gonna have to grow some of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did you guys do anything fun for yesterday for Halloween?
Yeah, so I have some family around right now. My Because of the wildfires in California, my brother
Yes.
and his wife and their new baby, they came out like a month ago or so, and they're staying not right here, but so they came over and it was kind of a family. We made a family thing. We made a big
Yeah.
fire in the fireplace and we stuffed a pumpkin. We like stuffed a pumpkin with food and
Oh,
then
yeah.
it like with different vegetables and things.
That's really cool.
Oh,
That
yeah.
is something I never heard of. I feel like I need to try that for next year.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, or you could do it this fall,
Oh,
it's really
yeah.
delicious.
Definitely like a little November thing.
Pumpkin, yeah, it's really, really cute and fun and tasty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
that's awesome.
yeah, did you do anything? Did you dress up?
Yeah. Oh, yes. I love Halloween. I
Oh,
probably have been actually celebrating since like August. I think once Halloween decorations started coming out, I like immediately got the house decorated on September 1st.
mhm.
But we just went over to a couple friends that live like 20 minutes away and passed out candy. I dressed up like as a pumpkin.
Oh,
just did that.
like a
Something
big
simple.
pumpkin? A
Yeah,
wine?
like one of those felt suits kind of thing
Yeah.
and had the
Oh,
little head, little like stem, the top.
cute. Yeah,
Yes.
my costume was not, I just kind of was like a basic witch, but
Oh, that's perfect. You can't go wrong with it. That's always
I
fun to
can't
do
go
that.
wrong. It was a very last
Yes.
minute, but that sounds fun. And pumpkins are always a cute costume.
Yeah, thank you. It was
I love
fun.
Halloween. I wish it was like a whole week or something.
So have you been, I'm assuming definitely working on some new music or just anything in the works?
Starting to work on new music and just trying to figure out, like I said, I've been doing a lot of just like personal work,
Yeah.
trying to figure out what I really want to say with the next album. And um, that's just taking me a little time. So I'm kind of sampling ideas and
Yeah.
and I have I feel really good in my sound right now. I'm just trying to figure out like what do I want to say next, what do I want to do next, and so I'm playing around with ideas.
Oh,
And
definitely. That's awesome.
yeah, the other day I was like, oh, I should have gotten a Christmas song recorded because it would be kind of fun to have a Christmas song, but it's a little
Yeah.
too late now for the whole process of like, but yeah, maybe it would be fun to do like a collaboration or something with another artist from afar and put something out. That's one idea.
Definitely.
In the meantime, I'm sampling other, ideas for the next album.
Yeah. Are you going to have some collabs on this next one as well, you're thinking, or?
I would like to something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be fun to do that. I enjoy it, to do that, but I haven't really thought about it too extensively.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you got some time, like you
Yeah,
said.
it was fun to do because the first song I released was a collab with Field Medic,
Yes.
And then this other girl, this woman who's wonderful, she's a professional whistler, so she whistled on it.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like she does full concerts just whistling. They're like an hour long.
What?
I know.
That's interesting. That's really cool.
Yeah, she's open for like Mac DeMarco and Conan Moccasin and all these people she's like toured with.
Wow.
She comes out and whistles. But anyway, she's the one whistling in Michigan 1997. So
that's really cool. I did not know that.
Yeah. So it was fun. Something funky like that would be cool to do, honestly.
Yeah. Maybe at her again or something, you know?
Someone with a unique talent. But.
Yes. It's always cool to find that. And that's cool. Like, you know, you wouldn't even think that like, oh yeah, I use this like whistler person for this like song. That's so neat.
Yeah. And there was there's a lot of crystal bowls in the album too.
Yes.
Had a crystal bowl player come. She just like was somebody who works at yoga studios and stuff.
That's so cool.
It's kind of buried in the sound. But.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how was it working with Field Medic, for example, in the song Michigan?
Oh yeah, I love him.
77.
He's so fun and he has such a great energy, and yeah, he's really great to work with. So I'm happy that he was able to do it. It was very last minute. So.
Oh really?
Yeah, and I happen to be in LA, and you know, a lot of people aren't. Yeah. I'm not there anymore, but it was convenient, you know.
Definitely. So are you expecting to kind of stay in the Cape Cod area for a while, or are you gonna kind of move more out west again, or what's your plan?
I do want to move on. Like I said, with plans, I'm like,
yeah,
like it's a Rolodex of ideas in my mind. You know, like should I like your mug, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Sound the same as you. Like I love the whole like witchy Halloween vibe.
Yeah, me too. I'm like a total witch at heart. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I have all these ideas in my head, or like I'll have a dream. Like in my dream, I go to New Orleans, and so I'm like, okay, maybe I should move to New Orleans. And then I have another dream about like somewhere else. I'm like, maybe I should move there. So I'm trying to figure it out right now. Like, so yeah, like with everything right now, I'm just giving myself a little time to sample ideas, and then I'll move on from here when it feels right. I'll probably be here for 8 months, I think, at least. And
definitely.
Yeah, I'm taking care of my mom's cat and dog right now too. While she's out in California with another sibling, she's taking care of my sister's kids with her because they needed help. So I'm like kind of doing that. Playing the homemaker for a second, and then I'll be back out on the adventure train.
There you go. Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So with just this album, or just in general, what is like I can tell that you got a little like the folk a little bit, but a little mix of like indie, the alternative song. So what have been your influences, especially not I mean just for this album, or just in general growing up, and then kind of went into making this album as well?
Yeah, so I feel like I always get kind of stumped with this because I'm a weird music listener. Like, well, maybe I'm not a weird music listener, but I get really obsessed with one song and I'll like listen to it over and over and over and over again. Like I'm kind of that person. So I feel like in my family I come from a big family, but they're not a super creative family. So like they would listen, they had like certain CD they'd play over and over and over again. Like I grew up listening to, I would say, like tons of Enya and like.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And like, then like John Denver, Lionel Richie, a lot of Motown. So that's kind of like the music I heard growing up. And I really, I love kind of like to have a little bit of that ethereal thing in there but what I really, really love is that like kind of country folk sound.
Yes.
But I'm not like 100% full-blooded that, you know. But with this album I wanted to have that kind of vibe in it, so I definitely took a lot of inspiration from John Denver, that feeling of a real home album, like something that you know like are driving home and listening to, whatever that is, which is interesting because like of just everything that happened, it kind of like a lot of people were like traveling back to places all of a sudden, sending them the demo of the album, like, here, this is kind of what this is about. But for this album specifically, it was him and Tom Petty, like those kind of,
Yes.
like riding free across and
Oh yeah.
also Ennio Morricone, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but he was the guy who did all the Italian composer who did
Oh
the spaghetti westerns, like
yeah.
like all that stuff.
Yeah.
And we listened to a lot of that before going into the studio.
Oh
To kind of
wow.
those like little cinematic,
Yeah.
spaghetti western kind of things in there. And so that's I guess a little bit with this album where it came from.
Yeah.
I never quite know where I'm gonna draw from in the moment.
But I think that's awesome because I think that just makes like a great like songwriter and just like experiment with your style. It's like I love when you like it's of course the classic albums like you said, John Denver, Tom Petty, like that's their sound. But I love like how you're saying you just never know what's in the moment, and I think that's cool. That's just the way of being a songwriter and musician is just like experiment with different stuff and be like, yeah, this album's going to be a little more folky or this one's going to be a completely different one. And I think I love when people do that. And I think that's so cool that that's what you're just going to what feels right.
Totally. And it's interesting too, because I don't know if this is, I'm sure some other people feel this way, but I have to be careful when I'm writing or about to go into the studio of listening to too many albums that are in the same genre that are coming out right then.
Yes.
Because it'll get me in my head like, ooh, should I be doing this? Or so I feel like my influences for this were more classic because I had already lived with them for so long. But I didn't want to, I kind of waited until after leaving the studio to hear some of the newer albums that were coming out, just to not be like tempted to, subconsciously do something, because it's so easy to hear something and be like,
oh, definitely.
Yeah. So
you did a perfect segue there. So speaking of like kind of newer albums, what have you been like you said, you've been listening to a Casey and the Sunshine Band song, but has there been anything else that you've been like really listening to at the moment?
I've been listening to French pop.
Oh, interesting.
Like France Gall. Have you heard of her? France Gall?
No.
Yeah, that's really fun to listen to. It's like French pop from the 60s and 70s.
Oh, wow.
I really like that when I'm cooking. That's fun. There's this band called Wild Pink who they just discovered the album of. That's been really cool, and that's a newer band.
That's a newer one. Wild Pink. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna have to write that one down.
Yeah, like I said, I kind of get this. I'm trying to think what the last song that I got obsessed with. I saw this one guy. I think his name is Charlie Hinckley or something, and he did a song with Phoebe Bridgers, and it's just this one song.
Yeah.
And I heard it, and I was like, oh, this is the type of song that I'd listen to like 80,000 times, That's kind of my habit. But whereas other people I know will listen to like, that have such a well-balanced discography that's going all the time. So, but yeah, France Gall is cool, that pop. So I'll put on weird stuff. Like sometimes I'm like, I want to listen to like organ music or something, like just things. So yeah.
Oh, that's really, so you definitely are right. You are kind of just like whatever you're feeling in the moment, you're just like, okay, that's where I'm at. That's really cool.
Yeah, I'm like, what's my vibe right now? And then I'll just try to find something. But,
definitely.
Yeah.
So hopefully once everything kind of goes back to normal, when you start like playing shows, who would be your dream person that you would want to either open up for or that have open up for you? Like it could be living or dead actually too. Right. Like you could even go into that.
I feel like I'd be a great match with Casey Musgrave.
You would. I could definitely see that. That'd be amazing.
Like I could see like that happening. I'm like, that would be a perfect match, because like positive music, like feel good music.
Yeah.
That'd be somebody living. That'd be awesome, obviously, to open up for.
Definitely.
I'm trying to think. The other night we were playing like a question game of like, if you could go back in time and like be a famous musician for one day, like who would it be? And I was like, oh, David, it would be cool to like experience life from David Bowie's body for just like one day.
Yes.
To have opened up for somebody like legendary like that back in the day with
definitely,
that'd be cool. So, but yeah, if Casey Musgraves is out there, I want to tour with you. That'd be awesome. That'd be crazy, but it would be amazing because she's
Oh,
like
that's
bubbles and happiness, you know.
She is. I have not had a chance to see her yet live, but I've seen like videos and stuff on YouTube, and her shows just look phenomenal. So that would be really cool.
That would be a dream. Yeah. There's the Ophelias, the band in Cincinnati.
Yes.
Yeah, I love them. I love their sound so much.
How long did you live in Cincinnati before you moved?
We were there for about 9 years, and
Wow.
then we were going back and forth a lot because my grandparents had a farm on the Ohio River, in Kentucky. It was called this town called Petersburg, which is just like across the way.
I definitely know that it is because I grew up in northern Kentucky, so just right over the river. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is in northern Kentucky very much. So Petersburg is the town, and so we would go back and forth all the time to them, and then we also had a lot of relatives, so we were going back and forth all the time. My mom was so sad to move from Cincinnati, so we would go back all the time, and then and my sister moved back. So and then we moved to Detroit, Michigan, so that's where I went.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so not too far.
No, not too far. And then you ended up in LA then, and then now in Cape Cod. Okay.
Well, I've been
then there's
ping-ponging all around. Like, I lived in New York for a second.
Okay.
I would, if I was ever in New York, it was like for 2 or 3 months, you know. But
yeah,
it's a hard place for me to be for a long period of time. Same with LA, but
yeah, I feel like you're not alone in that one. You either have the people that are like, especially like New York, they like either stay there, or like you said, you have ones that are just there for a little bit and they're like, that's all I needed in life. And I can kind of go back and forth if needed, but I don't know if I could ever uproot, root there.
Yeah, totally. I know, especially now, I mean, it's hard to imagine, but I do love New York. So every place has its own special thing, for sure.
Definitely. Well, I don't think I have any other questions.
I love Inhailer, by the way. It's such a great station.
Yes, thank you. Oh, that's awesome. So you have been you have listened to it and
my sister was the one who turned me on to it.
Thank you so much. And hopefully once this pandemic is all over, you can come back and do a live show or something.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'm sure it'll happen. So
yes, I hope so. I'm being optimistic, so I really do.
I know. Me too. I'm just staying on the sunny side of the street if I can.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
Well, thank you so much. Have a good night.
Cool. Bye.
Bye.
It's my astrology. With all my friends, with all my loves, everybody said a hold on me. Everybody said a hold on me.
Inhailer Radio in studio is brought to you by Joseph Toyota, where buying a car is easy, true, and clear.